What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again. I'm here with James from Sweet and Sour Soccer. I'm here with Joe from Just Joe. I love that. Just Joe.
Brilliant.
Absolutely smashing it, the Leeds content. And we will be having another guest shortly who no doubt you'll know. What this video is all about is simply just talking about the Premier League a little bit. Nothing over the top, nothing too, aggressive. Well, you can be as aggressive as you like. I mean, fucking hell, James and fucking Joe before screen. James has already pissed Joe off. James is never going on Joe's channel, ever. So I think it's fair to say, let's just jump straight into it. Let's talk about Wolves and their start this season, or where they are, what's good, what's bad about Wolves. But Joe, I'm going to start with you because I feel like you fucking deserve to give him some.
Oh God!
No, yeah, listen. Wolves. The signing of Hwang Hee-chan's been an absolute beaut. Let's be honest. I think prior to him coming, looking a bit shot shy. I think he's got like three goals, maybe four. No, 4 in 3. Is it, James? I'm not sure. 4 in 3 in the league. Is that right?
3. I think it's 3. Yeah, 3. 3 goals.
I think you might want to do your research. I think it's 4 in 3, fella.
He scored one. He scored against Watford away, and he got 2 at the weekend. Well, sure.
I mean, he's scored 1 more than he's played anyway. So if he's played 3, I know he's got 4. Because I did something on my channel the other day. I think Jimenez, couple of assists and a goal as well. They are dangerous going forward for sure. And they've had a decent start. I think they've had a decent start and they've started to tick into gear. 2 wins on the bounce. I was looking at like Leeds. Obviously, we play them not this weekend, the next. But if they were to beat Villa, that's 3 wins in the bounce. They come to Elland Road full of confidence. It's going to be a very difficult game. And in our next run of fixtures, I look at Wolves and think they're a decent side again. They went stale a little bit under Nuno, I think. But they look decent. I like Trincao. I do really like him. One player who I can't get on board with, and it's the same as with Alan St-Maximin at Newcastle. I think they're just everything tee to green's perfect, but then when they get to the green, they're just no good at putting. I think Traore is worse than Alan St-Maximin. Don't get me wrong, but Traore, I don't know. I've seen him linked with Liverpool again, and we were linked with him in the summer at like 30 million, and it's just. I don't know how or why. I think he should be back at Borough, to be fair, in the Championship. Maybe. That's harsh. But I just don't get it.
I agree.
I don't get it.
I think what you say there, Joe, I think that's really fair on Wolves, actually, because they have got decent players and they have looked a little bit lethargic at times this season. They played Man United a couple of weeks ago, 4 weeks ago now or whatever, and they should have been 2-3-0 up after a couple of minutes, and that's the Wolves I remember from, say, a season or 2 ago. That at one point last season, I remember referring to Leeds as Wolves because they in the first season with Wolves in the Premier League, they finished in Europe. They were very aggressive. They were very quick on the ball, very counter-attack, knew where the goal was, which was exactly really what I thought of Leeds at the time. Know where the goal is, can play anyone at their own game. It was fantastic. And Wolves sort of changed their identity toward the end under Nuno. And this is why I think it's interesting. It has started a little bit slow for Wolves this season, but I think you are right, Joe. I think that they are starting to get into gear a little bit. It'll be interesting, obviously, to see what happens with Jimenez because we all know he was a big striker, weren't he? Scores lots of goals, and it's interesting to see how the injury, bless him, obviously comes back and scores a goal. But it'll be interesting if it affects his numbers long term. Before I get you back, we're going to have the man himself. I literally hope he introduces himself like he does on his own channel because. This is testament to him. Do you get what I'm saying? Here he is. He's the man himself.
Lateness is greatness. You already know what time it is. Bring it on. How you doing, boys? You all good?
All good,
mate.
All good.
Mate, even better now you're here because Kendall was going to come on the stream, and I was hoping we were going to have a little bit of the whole Chelsea, and obviously now Newcastle have got mega money as well, but her teeth is falling out, bless her, so she's currently in the dentist, so
shit.
our thoughts go out to her. But yeah, we were just mentioning Wolves and their start to the season. Matisse, what's your take on them?
Wolves are an interesting one because I think Nuno, the way that they've been set up previously before, obviously he moved to Tottenham, was very counter-attacking, very good on transitions. Adama Traore, obviously Jimenez was injured, but before when he was playing well, Jota. They have a lot of good attackers, obviously now that they've got a few more as well. But with Wolves, I just think to myself, they got to be very careful because they had this whole Portuguese ethos where they bring in a lot of players overseas. They blitzed the championship. They were way too good for that league. They come up there, they're bringing different things to the table, and now they're at a danger of stagnating and potentially just nosediving very slowly into relegation fights quite quickly if they don't find a new image. I feel like they might be a little bit lost. They had a very clear identity. Neves, like I said, with those Portuguese players that came in, the transitions, the counter attacks. The solid, low block and then hit people on the break, take points off of teams like that. But they're in danger of losing all that with obviously new manager coming in, etc., if they're not careful. So it's a little bit of a worry for them, I'd say. This
is why Matisse is on the big six, because he comes in, he constructively blows you out the water there, James. Like he fucked your football team there. He didn't even do it aggressively. He sat there and went, "You're fucked. You're going down."
You don't even know it. You're fucked and you don't even know you're fucked. Oh, God.
You're fucked. You've got no identity. Your manager's shit and you're not scoring goals. It's fucking brilliant. Welcome to the stream, Matisse.
You need me for the rest of the video? Should I go? Or...
What's your take, James? Obviously, we will get into other Premier League clubs and we will just quickly move around it. But what's your take on Wolves? Are you concerned? Where are you finishing this season?
I predicted at the start of the season 13th, 14th. I'll slightly change it and say between 10th and 12th.
Some ambition there for Wolves. Fucking hell.
Well, a lot of people were saying that we should be finishing top half.
Mike's giving it big uns, isn't he? Because Everton have started well. He's probably
Do you know what the worst thing is about Everton doing so well? I was the one trying to convince Mike over the summer that they'll actually get into Europe this season. No. I said, you'll get Europe. And now he's throwing it back in my face.
Sorry. As long as you're back on the channel tomorrow for your regular 7 o'clock slot, that's fine, James. Let's get straight on to Leeds then. Leeds, I was worried for Leeds. I genuinely was worried. I think Joe, I think you were worried. I think I did give you some on that podcast a couple of weeks ago. I really did. But you turned a corner. You finally won a fucking game. Where are we at now, Leeds? What's going on? Europe?
Well, mate, it's not out of the realms of possibility when you've got the best coach in modern football. I'm joking. That's just for James, because James can't stand Bielsa. He can't stand it. I don't get it. But no, listen, mate, we needed to get a win. It was vital we got a win before the international break. More so just for the fan base, because it can get quite toxic quick. Watford were rubbish though, so I don't want to count my chickens before they've hatched, because like I say, Xisco got sacked the game after. Although I can think maybe it was a little bit harsh because of where they are in the league, but actually seeing what they put up against Leeds United, I can understand it. So rubbish. But look, I'm not concerned. I think we'll start to tick. We've got some decent fixtures coming up. We've got Southampton at the weekend, Wolves after that, then Norwich, and then Leicester. And really, let's be honest, the way all teams have started, they're all winnable. They are all winnable. So a couple more points on the board. And listen, we've got probably one of the best players in the Premier League in Rafinha. I mean, he's been ripping it up for Brazil in the international break as well. Really ripping it up. So he'll come back bouncing as well after that, because he's been dying to play for Brazil. He's gone there. He's ripped it up. He's done well. People are waxing lyrical about him that maybe they hadn't had eyes on him before. And he just is that type of player. You know, he'll come back into the side. I mean, and I can just imagine him, man, chest out kind of vibe and taking folk on left, right and centre, and he'll cause a majority of teams problems. So I think we'll be all right, Mike. We'll be all right.
Yeah, fair enough. Matisse, you've just nailed Wolves. Have you got anything nailed Leeds?
It's not hard. It's not hard, this.
Well, listen, at least, Wolves always create a lot of chances this season, but I think, Leeds are known for that with Bielsa. It's kind of rock and roll football. It's up and down. I thought that towards the end of last season, second half of the season, they started to find themselves a bit more balanced with attack and defence, whereas the start of the season, they were all over the shop with that, and they were conceding so many high-quality chances, and obviously we've seen that on the opening day against Manchester United, getting absolutely clapped. And it's almost like they reverted back to that, where they can't find the balance. It's a problem. Do you know what I mean? You need to. I love Bielsa. I think he's great. He's great for the league. He's entertaining. Rafinha, top player. They play good football as well. I've been impressed with them many a time last season, but you need to find the balance between attack and defense. And I feel like sometimes they just leave themselves too open, too exposed, especially against a big team like a Man United, with all they've spent, all the the gas that's around that club with Ronaldo coming back, etc., etc. You just would have expected them, not expected, but you would have hoped, maybe if you were a Leeds fan, for them to just go in a little bit more cautious and just be a little bit mindful of Manchester United's attack and try and play your cards right. They didn't. It seems like it's his way or the highway, which is very common, in that type of style of manager. I had it with Sarri as well. It's his way or no way at all. They want to play a certain brand of football. They want to play a certain style. They're not going to adapt or change for anyone. Some coaches are like that. They don't tweak their tactics or tweak their, themselves too much for oppositions. They want to play their way. I think that's, if you're at a big club and you can dominate most games, that's fine. I think when you're at Leeds and you're in that mid-table zone where you could potentially, with a little bit more fine-tuning, you could break into that top half consistently if you had some good windows and etc. with a manager that talented. But in that part of the table, you do need to adapt sometimes. You do need to tweak because you're not the best team in the league. You're not going to be able to play everybody off the park. You simply don't have the quality of player to do that. So I think Leeds are, they're an entertaining team to watch, but they're kind of just in that mid-table, for me, in that mid-table zone where they're not really going to be able to break out of that mid-table if they don't, if they don't start to tactically be a little bit more astute in games and not be so open against everybody.
You'd agree with that, though, wouldn't you, Joe? To a degree, I would have thought from some of the comments there. He's not absolutely nailed Bielsa, which James is about to do. No. To be fair,
yeah. No, I think you get what we're used to it now as Leeds United fans under Bielsa. We can accept it because we can see what he's done to the football club in such a short space of time. I think we look at that switch. It's mad to think that one player can have such an impact, but I put a lot on Diego Llorente. We hadn't had a clean sheet this season. He plays, we get one against Watford. He was fit towards the back end of last season. We were the only team all season at Elland Road to not get beat by the Super Six sides. So we really shot for a period of time. And I know maybe a lot of people from the outside might see it as a switch up of the tactics, but Diego Llorente is that important to this Leeds United side. He's an unbelievable centre-back, an unbelievable footballer. So if we can keep him fit, then we will see a lot more clean sheets. Look, we finished 9th last season. We weren't that far off, really. I do think had we have had a better summer, we would be, we needed a centre midfielder. We were close to getting Conor Gallagher. Put Conor Gallagher in this side, improves massively. We're so light in centre midfield. I'm gutted that we never got him. Obviously, he said he would come. A month later, he decides to go to Palace, Vieira, London, all that sort of stuff. So that was a really disappointing one. It'd be interesting to get Matisse' thoughts on Gallagher. Does he reckon he makes his way back into Chelsea, or do we think we're going to have a bit of a bidding war in the summer? Because I, as a Leeds United fan, will be like, let's go for it. Let's try and get that guy, because I think he's special.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Gallagher, and we've had a similar situation with Mark Gurhey, with Tino Livramento who's gone to Southampton. These players are almost too good to be on the bench consistently. They're too ambitious to be on the bench. They're too ambitious to want to wait 2-3 years or have multiple loans or sit on the bench at Chelsea and wait for their chance, especially in a squad that is already turning to be quite, a lot more youthful than it was. Yeah, we still got a lot of seniors that bring our average age of the squad up, like Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, but we have a lot of young players like Mount, like Reece James, Trevor Chalobah broke in this season. So I often say youth tend to block youth. You're not going to have two 20 or 21-year-olds competing for one position because it's not healthy in terms of a whole decade of two talented players trying to compete. Usually you'd want some sort of Aguero to Gabriel Jesus, Azpilicueta to Reece James, a little bit more of a transition from one, guy to the next. And we, in some positions, won't have that because we've got so many young players. Additionally, the ones we signed in Pulisic and Havertz. So Gallagher's competing with Gilmour, with the resurgence of Loftus-Cheek. And even though he's having such a great spell, I think it's more likely that he might even be sold with a buyback, and then he's permanently gone for a few years, and then maybe we buy him back and if there's a slot open. Right now we've got Jorginho, Kova and Kante all touching or just over 30, and they're not looking like slowing down. They've, some of them are picking up, UEFA Men's Player of the Year. They're winning, trophies at international level, just won the Champions League. So that turnover of those three coming out of the squad to your Gallaghers, to your Gilmores is not quite there. They're not ready to pass the baton in the relay race. So that for that reason, he may have to leave, even though he's really good. It depends on the players that, in terms of Loftus-Cheek, Gilmore, his loan at Norwich, etc. But it's not going to be easy for him, even if he has a great season, unfortunately.
James, what's your take on Leeds and Bielsa and where they are currently?
I don't think Leeds will be complaining as a fan base because they've been through the turmoil like Wolves have, down to League One in the Championship for what seems forever. So I think, our owners came in and said we're going to win the Premier League within 10 years and be in the Champions League in 5 years. And yeah, that's nice to hear, but I think for a lot of Wolves fans, and Joe, tell me if I'm wrong here, but you just want to get sustained seasons in the Premier League. You want to be in the Premier League for 5, 6, 7 years and then try and push on. This season, I don't see Leeds pushing further than maybe 9th or 10th because, as Joe mentioned earlier with Llorente, our channel did a watch-along for the Leeds-West Ham game. The best game I've seen all season. I'm not just saying it because you're here, Joe. It was the best game I saw all season. It was end-to-end. Phillips was amazing. Rafinha bossed that game, hit the post as well. Antonio got the last-minute winner. They're the kind of games that I think Leeds are going to have all season. I agree with what's been said so far about Leeds. You know what you're going to get from a neutral? I love watching Leeds because I know there's going to be 3 or 4 goals in the game. If I was a Leeds fan, I'd be thinking, well, Bielsa's been here a while now. Are we still going out, trying not to concede 3 or 4 goals every game? Maurice mentioned earlier about the United game. First game of the season against your rivals, and you've conceded, was it 5?
I've tried to blot it out. Yeah, 5, mate. 6? No, it wasn't 6. Was it 6? It was 5. 5.
6-1, man. 6-1, man.
6-2 last
You've
season.
enjoyed that, Mike. A lot.
Sorry.
6-2 last season, 5 this.
The rivalry between Everton and Leeds is building. I love it.
Yeah.
Mate, I can't wait to bring up Newcastle and Chelsea. Woohoo! Let's get, because I appreciate, Matisse, you've got to go soon, so we're going to get straight onto Chelsea. Are you concerned as the first oil boys that the new oil boys are now going to take the reign in the next 4 years, or what's your thought?
No, I welcome any new oil boys.
Is Turkish going to be able to host the top 6 when he's going to be the top 8 now? Like what's going on?
I mean, you know what? I'll answer the last one first. In terms of the big 6, Turkish and Toby are at a serious threat. It's very clear for me. They're at serious threat now. Threat levels high, higher than it was, at the start of this pandemic. Them two there, they need to be careful because you got Newcastle coming into it. Leicester, you can argue, have had more success with their FA Cup win, their Premier League win. I've joked about it on the show many a time. They're harshly done by. And Arsenal and Tottenham, even in London, they're behind West Ham right now in terms of just standing, in terms of just where they are right now as a club. West Ham in Europa League, Tottenham are in the Conference League, and Arsenal are not even in Europe. They're obviously, very much in favour of Brexit. They're not leaving, they're not going anywhere. So, from a political standpoint, that's Arsenal. And I just think I just find it funny. For me, Chelsea, we're clearly obviously at the top of that. And for us, I'm not threatened. I love a new oil team because I don't like it when Chelsea and Man City fans try and pretend like as if we didn't get this massive, push jump start with this oil money came in. Of course, Chelsea were successful in the 90s. They won FA Cups, Di Matteo's goal against Middlesbrough, I believe, Super Cup winning against Real Madrid. We beat Arsenal in the Champions League as well, quarterfinals. Before Roman came in, we were challenging. We was around that top 4, 5th, 4th area, trying to knock on the door, winning cups and whatnot. But we made a significant jump to being, league winners, etc. when Roman comes in and does a craziness in the transfer market. Manchester City the same, bringing in Robinho, who thought he was at Manchester United, and then he threw on a blue training top and was like, what the hell is this? Or have I gone colourblind? Or is this really happening? They bring in Joe, they bring in Roque Santa Cruz, they bring in Bellamy, all of these guys, Tevez, under Mark Hughes. They get that big kick up from getting slapped 8-1 to Middlesbrough to now winning Premier Leagues under Mancini. It's a big, big gap. And Newcastle are probably going to get the same. But I welcome it because for me personally, obviously there's human rights issues that, up for debate as well with that takeover in terms of the group, because it's not one solo person. I think people are getting it misconstrued in terms of who's actually taken over here. It's a group. It's not one person has 320 billion. One individual is richer than Roman, richer than Kroenke, richer than et cetera, et cetera. It's a group. And it's very clear it's a group. It's been publicly stated. It's a group takeover. And they have a spokeswoman who is obviously coming out and speaking on their behalf. She's doing all of the PR, et cetera, et cetera. So, but again, I'm of no stranger to human rights issues with any of these chairmen, a lot of these chairmen, my own, there's loads. So to start complaining about one and then not talk about the rest of them, it's kind of silly as well. So you need to make an open playing field with that. But just from a footballing perspective for Newcastle, it's great for the city. I honestly, I couldn't, there's not many clubs, maybe Leeds, another historical club, maybe Nottingham Forest. There's not many clubs where I would have said, they deserve this much more. Newcastle fans have been suffering all that time in the Northeast under Mike Ashley. They got Sports Direct's mugs and whatnot painted all over their shit. They tried to change the name of the stadium. I'm pretty sure they did change the name of the stadium.
I think so, yeah.
So they've had to suffer so much. And I'm not even saying Newcastle, they are owed success, because I don't think Newcastle were incredibly successful in their history. But they definitely deserve to see a competitive team that are not just struggling with relegation and actually put together some sort of, competitive team that plays some decent football and try and push for some sort of maybe, European places, Europa League, etc. If West Ham can do it, why can't they? So I'm excited for them. I think, they're very passionate about their club. They sell out. They've got a big fan base, massive fan base. They'll fill out their stadium. And just for that area as well, it'll be great for the people. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully I'm more interested. Obviously, you got the glitz and the glamour of the signing. I'm more interested to see the training ground facilities improve. How he's going to sort the local areas, that going to improve business opportunities, all that kind of stuff. That is what can be really done in that area, can really improve the city. We know it's a party city. We know we can go get pissed up there. We know that. But what are you going to do when everybody's sober? That's my question. So it's going to be very interesting to see. So I'm personally happy for them. I know how I felt when my club was taken over. Man City fans will tell you the same. And you invite competition. If you're scared of it, then you must be Arsenal or Tottenham.
Screwy. What?
You know what? Can I just jump in as well, Mike? Just make
absolutely not.
Obviously, I live in the northeast now. So that's one of the things that me and my mate discussed.
Oh, you're a Geordie, ain't you?
No, I'm not a Geordie. I'm a Yorkshireman. I live in the northeast. But yeah, me and my mate, who's a Man United fan, were discussing this, that it will improve the area. It will improve the northeast as a whole in terms of job opportunities, etc., etc. So I'm 100% on board with that. And Matisse makes some great points. Listen, my chairman, Rad Razani, took us on a tour to Myanmar. There was obviously stuff going down there. There's human rights issues. I think a lot of owners are guilty of it. And I think I've seen a lot journalists having a go at it. But then at the same time, I think it was Ollie Holt. It was actually Kendall that brought it up. I think Ollie Holt had said, it's out of order. But then at the same time was promoting the Joshua. And when they fought in Saudi Arabia, he was promoting that scene. Why are we all bothered? And it's like, well, hang on a minute, you can't give with one and take away with the other. So I do look.
Just to build on that very quickly, sorry. If people want to go down the way of human rights, which is fantastic, you're going to have to make a lot of altercations in your life if you're going to track companies, big companies that you purchase from in your day-to-day, whether that be Apple, etc., World Cup bids in Qatar. Are you going to watch those games? Are you going to take a stand against those people in Brazil? When was you watching that World Cup? If you're going to go down to human rights, and 100%, you should, because we should be looking after each other on this planet. There's a lot of things in your day-to-day that you're doing just casually that while that product was being made, someone was getting screwed over in some way. So we are all, we are all complicit and all involved in every single thing that could be possible with human rights somewhere. So
just to jump on that,
Yeah.
There's not many times I agree with Piers Morgan, but he sent out a tweet a few days ago saying it's funny how so many of these journalists are against this takeover, yet they'll be getting their first-class tickets to Qatar for the World Cup. So the most important word here for me is the word relevancy. Are you relevant? If so, well, now we have morals, now we have ethics. I guarantee there are clubs in the Championship, League One and League Two that have got owners that maybe have sweatshops somewhere in India or China or are doing things that are immoral. But guess what? The Big Six don't want to know about them because they're the little boys of the English leagues. They're in League One, League Two. When they come up to the Premier League and get their billionaire owners, now it's unethical. Now it's a problem. It's the word relevancy. Are you relevant? Oh, well, we actually care. Are you not relevant? You're in League Two. Keep those sweatshops open. Who cares? It's the hypocrisy is disgusting. And I'm so happy for Newcastle fans because they've sold out their season tickets already this season. They hadn't before. And there's now, I believe, if the sources are right, an 18,000 ticket waiting list. Now, it's easy to say, we will come back. It's incredible.
Here we go.
But the defence I'll give them is there aren't many other Premier League teams outside the top six that would be able to do that. As much as, Wolves have found our billionaire owners, we wouldn't sell out 50,000. Palace, they wouldn't. You probably would go Leeds, Newcastle, West Ham, maybe Villa.
Don't fucking sit there and not mention Everton, dickhead.
You're getting your stadium.
Do you know what?
It's going to be a lovely stadium, on the river. Yeah.
What I will say, and there's a case to be said that Newcastle arguably, so like when Man City happened, they weren't a big club. They are now. They weren't when they took over.
Yeah.
Newcastle have always been a big club. So I think there's the case that this could grow more rapidly. It will take time. But what has been a bit of a sore point with me is Newcastle have been through the ringer, right? But they never spent more than one season in the Championship. Let's not pretend that they've had the worst of the worst. I've seen one Newcastle fan's take saying, if you're not a Toon fan, you'll never know the pain of football. And I'm like, yo, dude, we was in League One. We've had crooks. We've had mad owners being into administration, being in League One, struggled to get back up. Say what you want about Ashley, and I know he was poor, but whenever they did drop down, he invested and they were straight back out of that division. I know he was poor. I'm not trying to defend him whatsoever, but I think Newcastle have had it all right. They've had it all right because there's certain clubs like Bury, for example, they're not even here anymore. So I think sometimes this outpouring of, he's been so, maybe not so. I don't know.
Last thing from Matisse then, because I appreciate you've got to go, my friend, but it wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about Chelsea, a team that I expected to win the league, a team that I expected to beat Manchester City at home, and a team that fucked it. So what's are we on equal points now as well, by the way? Are we both joint third? Is that where we are?
We're top by
Chelsea
a point.
Top, man.
Yeah, we're top by a point. So I'm not sure who you're level with, but it's not, thankfully.
Brilliant. And fuck, man.
Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to pretend that we're level on points.
And hairline jokes and everything, man. Everything is just buried, man. Fuck.
So yeah, we're a point clear, which is good. I mean, for me personally, I can think of 101 places to improve this team. And I think that's what's so interesting about us being top, having gone to Liverpool, having played Manchester City, Tottenham, Arsenal, and even Villa. I'd say Villa are a tougher test than those two, to be honest, at this point. Villa are a very difficult team to play against. Yeah. So, we're top by a point, but it's very early doors. I think last season we were around about top or second at this point as well. Lampard was in a good vein of form until late November, until Christmas period came, and we absolutely got ourselves slapped up by Arsenal at the Emirates, and then Wolves as well before that, and Everton as well. So we went on a 3-match losing streak, and that's where things started to really crash going into January. So I'm very much calm and composed this season in terms of not getting ahead of myself. The team still needs to improve massively. Chance creation needs to improve. Quality chances need to be on the up. They need to start working with Lukaku a lot better as well. That chemistry is not there, considering he was the MVP in Italy last season, and probably has a stronger case for Ballon d'Or than some of the players that we're pushing out ourselves, in terms of the impact they had on the Inter Milan team as well. We haven't started. He scored some goals, but we haven't really built up that chemistry yet with him that we ought to for one of the best strikers on the planet. And Kai, Ziyech, all these playmakers, they need to pull their finger out their arse because they're not playing well enough. They need to be much better than they are and more influential in games. I think right now we're still relying upon our foundation, which is our defense. And you've seen in recent weeks when we've conceded a goal, cards come down, and everybody's shaking, everybody's confused as to what we're going to do next because we can't score a bundle of goals. Southampton was the exception there. It was a great game. I was there, but Manchester City, Juventus, no goals scored. So many places to improve for this team. And for certain players, they've got a lot to do before January, because if they haven't sorted themselves out by then, I wouldn't be surprised if we made a couple of additions or made a couple of changes. And then certainly in the summer as well. So I have us down to win, mainly because I'm always going to back the team with a manager this talented, as tactically astute as Tuchel is. But it's going to be a very close race. Liverpool are right up there as well. I think a lot of people have slept on Liverpool with the injuries they had last year. The fact that they did win the league, but they didn't have their fans there as well. So they've still got the extra bit to prove and the extra bit of determination to go and get it again. And now that they've got their players back, Klopp and whatnot, when Liverpool have a team out there, they put up ridiculous points tallies. They do. And last season they finished ahead of us, and look at all the injuries they had to still finish third. So they're a team to watch out for. Man City always going to be there. Manchester United, Oli tax is huge, but that individual brilliance also balances out a little bit with Bruno, with Ronaldo. They'll scrape by and shithouse their way, like they did in the Wolves game that I watched. Absolutely awful game to watch from a Manchester United standpoint. They were dreadful. They were shit. I was actually shocked with how crap they were, because I don't really watch Manchester United every single game. I know they don't play good football. I know they shithouse their way, but to actually watch it was dreadful. And Wolves deserved to win that game, minimum get a draw with the chances they created. They just couldn't finish. But again, 4-0. Yeah, but again, Greenwood or whoever turns up whenever it's not the system, it's the individual, and that's the difference with them. And I always think the system is superior to the individual. And we've seen it at Leeds. We've seen it at any of these mid-table clubs as well. If you have a great manager or a good manager put in a good system, you can make lower division players look better than they are. And that's what Klopp and Pep have done at Man City. They are the most important cog in the room. That's what I hope Tuchel is at Chelsea. And he has been so far for the Champions League win. Made our players look better.
Can I ask you a question on Tuchel? Because obviously he's got Pep's number. I think last season when he came in January, you played Pep 3 times and he got the better in all 3 games: League, FA Cup and Champions League final. Yeah. Tuchel's not stupid. He knows that, listen, with Chelsea's history, a bit like Watford's, if he doesn't win the league this season or anything, he could be gone. It would be mad, but it could happen. Yeah. That game against City where he truly bottled it. I mean, it looked like your formation was a 7-1-2. I've never seen anything like it, the way that you played. Do you think that's going to get to him? Because you've got the players for me. The squad's not there compared to City's, but no one's is really in Europe. Yeah. Do you think Tuchel decides if you win the league or not this season? And do you think the pressure will get to him knowing that he might not have a job if he doesn't? Because yes, he can beat the Spurs, but who are Spurs really in terms of the top 6? But the big games against, the Liverpool game wasn't brilliant. I know you went down to 10 men. That you shouldn't have. But do you think he might go too conservative in those games?
That was the longest question in fucking history.
It's a good question, though. It's a good question. I think last season with Tuchel, the Big 6, we had a good record. We went Tottenham away, like you said, Manchester City, Liverpool away, won as well. And we had this roaming front 3 that never really had a static position. Kai was a false 9, Werner and Mason Mount in a lot of those games. And they're all kind of busy bees. They buzz about, apart from maybe Kai, who's a bit more nonchalant. But we didn't have a focal point. Now we do with Lukaku. So that's changed the dynamic of our attack. We have to play a different way. And really, we should be better because he scores more goals. But in the same time, he doesn't press as hard as a Werner. So you have to adapt maybe defensive shape and whatnot in the way that you press and you win the ball back high up the pitch. But I think the main issue will be for me is that Tuchel, and I said this to Grizz on the Big Six, Tuchel has done so well to improve individuals. Kepa, market value's gone back up since Tuchel's come back in charge. Rudiger, now world-class and contract running out and linked with Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. That wasn't happening before him. Christensen, incredible Euros, even away from Tuchel in a back four for Denmark and got into the semi-finals, even after the tragedy that they had at the beginning and shaking that squad up, still manages to come in clutch and put in some great performances, even scored a great goal. And I can keep going with loads of players on that list there. Alonso was sitting on the team bus under Frank at half time, and now suddenly he's in the team. He's done well to improve so many individuals. He can't turn water into wine for everyone because he's only purchased Lukaku and Sal Niguez on loan. Now, Ziyech he didn't purchase. Kai, German, cool, but just because you're German, he's German, doesn't mean they go together. He didn't purchase him. Werner, the same. The same goes for Pulisic. The same goes for, and then Mason Mount, obviously Hudson-Odoi promoted as well. If these attacking midfielders, which has been the main issue for Chelsea the last year, don't start to create more chances, I would sooner start to get rid of a Ziyech or get rid of a very injury-prone, inconsistent Pulisic or whoever it may be before the manager. Because the issue with Chelsea is they continuously blame the manager all the time and they fixate on changing the manager. And it's worked for us, but they never want to build a team in a manager's image. And when you've got a manager this talented, it's very hard to keep going forward from there in terms of better managers. For long-term success, build the team in their image. Manchester City have done it with Pep. He sold Joe Hart immediately, brought in Bravo, fucked up, let's be honest, fucked up. That was one of the worst goalkeeping seasons I've ever seen. Got another goalkeeper the following year. Yeah. Pep, so that's Pep. Klopp literally built that team as well. Built it from the ground up. He had Alberto Moreno, Carrius, shit players like that. He's managed to just say, listen, I can't turn them into wine. I've done it with a few, Henderson, maybe, Wijnaldum at Newcastle. I've done it with a few. I can't do it with all of them. So I need some new players. They've done that. Sustained long-term success. That is what Chelsea need to do. If certain players don't fit Tuchel, then it's the players that need to go because he's already shown he can coach. He's shown that he can be a man manager. He's shown that he can do great PR and press conferences, explain himself tactically, get on with the British media. And he's shown that he's going to use youth and promote Trevor Chalobah, etc. And he's already won something. So he can definitely improve in those big games with what he's got. 100%. You want to see Chelsea more forthcoming, more fluid. But if he doesn't trust the attacking midfielders that Lampard purchased, then he needs to sell those attacking midfielders and get some new ones.
Do you know what though? As well with Tuchel, like just compare that Liverpool game when they went to down to 10 men to say Ollie when they went down to 10 men against young boys. You know what I mean? It's like chalk and cheese. Do you know what I mean? I think if they were to get rid of Tuchel, it'd be absolute insanity because what's really out there to improve that. And just like you say, great point. You obviously know what you're talking about, Matisse. You know what I mean? So
he gets himself on TV. Global fucking.
I personally compared it to Carlo Ancelotti. That was the last undeserved sacking. That was ridiculous. Chelsea they win the double. Maybe Everton's standpoint, I don't know how you feel about him, but we won the double, finished second the season after, and they sack him. And for me, Tuchel is probably the next best thing since then for long-term stability. Mourinho, you're never going to have long-term success. Conte, you're not going to get that either. Those are quite volatile, dramatic managers who are going to come in, do their thing, win and leave. So I'm not going to blame Chelsea for sacking those guys. But when you get Carlo Ancelotti's and you get, Tuchel's, if you can't build long-term success with pretty calm, intelligent, tactical managers who don't kick up a storm and cause fights and divide, then I think you are the problem, and this being you as Chelsea. So that's a good opportunity now for them to sort themselves out, hopefully, and win in a different way. I love winning, but win with some sort of stability.
Let's just because the England game, Jack. Matisse, because I know you got to go for your stream very quickly. What do you make of the Everton start? Then we got to talk about Everton. I'm fucking. But what do you make of the Everton start? Rafa Benitez coming in. What was your take from an outside perspective?
Rafa Benitez is a good manager. Let's make that abundantly clear. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, certainly not going to be Everton's fans' cup of tea because of what happened at Liverpool. Same thing at Chelsea. I can relate heavily. And I was meant to come on here, talk about that, but I just couldn't. I couldn't do it at the time. But it was meant because we was going to be able to relate quite quickly on that one very, very easily. The fact that he came in at Chelsea, we didn't like him. We had posters and banners ready for him as soon as he arrived, tell him to get out, piss off, on his first day. You guys would have been maybe similar. But he is a good manager. He's tactically astute. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He's got his track record at Valencia, at Liverpool, etc. A Liverpool team that wasn't even that great when you look through the individuals, but they still go on to win, the Champions League, etc. So, a very, very good manager. And I think Everton, you've got the nucleus of a good team. I liked your signings last season in Decore and Allen. I thought Allen was a brilliant purchase. People talk about Jorginho at Napoli. They forget Allen, who played alongside him in that team and really was maybe the Kante in that team for Jorginho. James Rodriguez was a great signing. He's obviously gone off the ball and gone now since then, but he had a great few months where he was lighting the Premier League on fire. So you guys have always been able to attract your Rooneys or your Sigurdssons or your James Rodriguez. You're always able to bring in that 10 or that creator that can, light up the show. You just need to, again, you've got billionaire owners, isn't it? New stadium coming in. There's always been talk about Everton breaking into that top 4, but and this is going back to the David Moyes days, you still can't quite get in there. It's always 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever it may be, but can never crack the code into how to do. Maybe even Leicester haven't really cracked it. They're maybe even similar outside the Premier League win, those 5th place wins and, the FA Cup, they haven't been able to crack the code either consistently. But I think, one thing RAFFLE will do is he'll get you results. He'll put you in a good position. And you can see that with your start of the season. It's been good. It's been healthy. Whether you crack the code or not, I don't think so. With the current setup, with just the teams around you in the top 4, I don't think you can make that jump. But you should definitely be, for me, Everton, what I've never understood is they don't win. Go and win an FA Cup. Go and win a Carabao Cup. Go and win something. That's my main thing with Everton, is that cracking that top 4 is so difficult. Go and win a trophy. That's what Leicester just did. They just won the FA Cup. Brilliant day out. Portsmouth have done it. Obviously, their fortunes went completely the other way. But go and win a trophy. That's because Everton are more than ready to do that. They've been ready for a decade, nearly 2 decades. Go and win a trophy. That should be right up there in terms of aspirations. Obviously, playing Europa League football would be something that you should be targeting as well, especially with Rafa. I don't really rate the Conference League, but it is what it is. It's there if you want to get that.
You don't have to worry about it.
but definitely win something. That should be Rafa and Everton's main charge for those Everton fans. Will go and win a cup. That's what I would be saying you should be trying to do. League position is nice, but there's a ceiling, and then there's somewhere where you won't fall. You won't fall further than 10th, in my opinion, and you won't crack top 4. So you're in that Europe range, to mid, lower mid-table range, but go and win a trophy.
Yeah, see you on Big 6 next year then.
Turkish is not trying to make any changes, but I'm telling you, there's something's got to go. Something's got to give if Arsenal keep plummeting.
It's just about it'll be the host and Tobes, man. The shit in South West. Joe, just coming on to you. What's your take on Everton? And Matisse, if you've got to go now, mate, you can go. I appreciate you've got your stream coming up soon, so
Pleasure.
You've got to go. Appreciate it.
But guys, listen, I wish I could have stayed longer, but absolute pleasure doing this with you. And thanks for having me on, bro. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you for coming on. It's like having a fucking TV pundit on here.
In a bit, boys.
Yeah,
see you later, mate. Yeah, no, Everton, mate. Listen, I like Everton. They're a good football club. Do you know what I mean? And that's the club that I want to see do well, for sure. I think Rafa Benitez is an astute, an appointment. He got Newcastle 10th. We're talking about water into wine. I think he got them 10th at one season, which is huge with the dross that they have. Yeah. He's good. Do you know what I mean? He's a great manager. And like James says, although I might not have said it at the start of the season, so props to James for it, but I look at Everton now and he's getting Europe. I think you will get Europe. There's a big and what more do you want, right? I know this talk top 4 and all that, but listen,
it's overrated. Who needs it?
Well, do you know what? It's rock hard as well, bro. It's not like it was. It's insane to try and break into there. Leicester over the last 2 seasons spent more time in there than some of the teams that finished there. And guess what? They don't finish there. I think you only have to look, and I say this to Leeds fans to try and temper expectations, because I've had conversations where people are expecting us to get 6, and then we're going to say, no, it's never going to happen, because look at last season, the top 4. Chelsea were 11th when Lampard got sacked.
Yeah.
Man United have Oli. City started the worst they've started since forever. I don't know. And then Liverpool had so many injuries. And come the end of the season, they were still all in the top 4. So it's rock hard to try and break into that. So to get Europe for Everton, for Wolves, for Leeds, it's huge, isn't it? Let's be honest. And I think with Rafa, it's funny because my partner's daughter's dad's from Liverpool, and they're Everton season ticket holders. And he still won't call him Rafa. I don't know if you're okay with that, Mike, but he says I can't call him because the Rafa the gaffer and all that. So he's just Mr. Benitez. But how do you feel about that, Mike? Now that you're winning games, this is the thing about football. It's fickle. You start winning games, you're not bothered, are you?
I never really had an issue because you see it in players' transfers. Is it really different when it's a player or a manager? Is it genuinely different? Everton have had players go over to Liverpool. We've had Liverpool players come over to Everton. Yes, it's not common. It's very similar to Man United and Leeds. It's not like you guys do business every single transfer window, but it does happen. So there is that thing. There is that can't stand him. There is that, I wish he wasn't the manager. But the facts are he fitted the bill really well. He still had a decent reputation in Europe. He's still got a decent brand. He plays good football with Everton. He's been able to work on a tight budget because of our financial fair play restrictions, because of the shit we've signed in the past. We won't be 28 million. That need I say anymore. So he fit really well. So honestly, when the name come out, he was my number one choice, and lots of Everton fans dug me out for it, told me, I'm not local, so I don't have the same feeling. It means fuck all. The facts are, if you take the Liverpool connection out, would I be happy with a manager that has managed Valencia to a league title, Real Madrid to, finishing second in the league or whatever he did, winning an FA Cup with Chelsea? Yeah. I would take that, especially after losing a world-renowned manager like Carlo Ancelotti. No problem.
Damari Gray, possibly signing of the season for the price you paid.
He is. Insane. But then I also look at the right-hand side of the pitch and go, Andros Townsend. Where the fuck did that come from? I was shocked. I was
mocking it. Have you seen their business? Oh my god! And then you smashed it. Yeah.
He played 23 times for Palace last season, and yet he's our top goal scorer. And he's probably one of our biggest leaders. So yeah, man. James, what's your take on us?
Predicted it, didn't I?
You did. Do you know what's worse? James actually did. He came on my channel because James and Sweet and Sour have a slot on a Wednesday on my channel, and they do him and Scott do a little show. Talk complete shit for an hour usually, but it's a good show. And he genuinely came out and said, "I think Everton finish in Europe." I was fucking blown away. I actually, where the fuck's he gone?
I think he is, mate.
Yeah, he's fucked it now. He's fucked it. He's not. He's in grey now. He's fucked it.
This is what happens when you give me compliments. I'm not used to it, so my computer starts fizzing.
But yeah, you did predict it. All right, let's just quickly, just because we're going to wrap this video up now very quickly, because of all I want to know is your top 4 and your bottom 3. That's it. Joe, we'll go to you first, my friend, in order. 4 to 1.
It was Chelsea, but I'm going to go Liverpool, Chelsea, City, Manchester United. In 18th, this is a difficult one. I'm going to go Southampton, Watford, Norwich. That would be my bottom 3.
James, same question to you, friend.
Yeah, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, and United because of the players, not Ollie. Let me get that clear. He's the reason they're not higher. By default, they'll get 4th because of their squad. Bottom, Norwich. They could get close to Derby's record. They're a shocking team. Burnley, I think they're going to struggle this season. I think they will. I did predict Southampton, but I'm unsure on that one now. Maybe. I think Ranieri will do a good job. I think he keeps Watford up. They've got some good players. They've still got Sark, and they keep him in January. They've got Dennis. He's a good player as well. Sissoko. They've got some players. Yeah, I think Watford will stay up.
Okay. Mine is exactly the same as yours, James. So I'll go Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool. It's probably because I'm proper biased against Liverpool, obviously.
Yeah. They look good, man. They do look good.
They look all right. Their issue is going to be in January for the Cup of Nations when Salah and Mane goes. It's how they can deal with that. If they deal with it really well, then yeah, they could win the league. If they don't, then Everton finish fourth. No, I'm joking. Man United finish fourth. The bottom three. Personally, I think Norwich go down, as you say, James. They're shit. They're absolutely horrendous. I was meant to have a Norwich fan on today, but it's probably
what's the point in Norwich? Like, at least I'm sick of them going up and down. Do what we did in Leeds and Leicester. Go to League One, have some fun down there.
Pointless football. Do you know? I was at the Everton Norwich game a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, 3 weeks ago, and do you know even their fans walked out after a 2-0 defeat to Everton and were singing. You only scored two. You only scored two. How much? Wow. How shit? I mean, how as a football fan?
It's not.
Sit there and that's after 7 games of a season. Like all fans have done that. We've done that when we were relegated, like in March when we were last in the league. You do it for fun, but 7 games in and you're singing. You only beat us 2-0. How shit? Like, what's the point in Norwich? Like West Brom, worst clubs about.
Yeah. And then my other two is I think Burnley and Watford. I think Burnley look absolutely horrendous. But the one thing you can caveat with, Burnley do have a bit more money now because they've got these new owners and they didn't really invest much in August. I think if they need to, they will spend in August.
They've still got Dyche as well. They've still got Sir Sean Dyche. So
Tarkowski, if Tarkowski goes to Newcastle as he's been linked, he would be a huge loss. Huge loss for them.
Yeah. Dwight McNeil as well. And Dwight McNeil. I think he'll be a player in a few years.
They'll come and get Cooper from you lot.
They can have Cooper, mate, if they pick.
He fits them all. He fits Burnley. He does fit Burnley.
I've seen him. All Newcastle fans keep going, Calvin. Get in the bin, man, will you? He's not going to go to Newcastle regardless.
No chance. I had someone tell me Richarlison was going to go to Newcastle. It's not going to happen that fast.
They can have Adama for 50 million. They can have him for 10 million.
But they probably would sign Adama. That's more like. I mean, I've seen him link with Martial. If that's what they think's like, he's dog dirt. He's dog dirt, right? I think he's rubbish. So let him have Martial.
Yeah.
Bissouma is one I've seen as well. I'd love Bissouma. What a player.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, he's not going to Wolves, James. Sorry to upset you.
You never know.
Wearing black and white, though. I think he might wear black and white, but it might not be on a football pitch, is he?
Oh, I see what you've done there.
Here we go. Yeah, brilliant.
And on that bombshell, guys, I'm leaving it there. Joe, the video goes out tomorrow, so the link will be in the description and everything. So thanks for coming on the channel, Joe. Is this your debut on the channel? I know I've been on yours.
Actually, yeah, pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Mike. It's good.
No, mate, it's an absolute pleasure, mate. It's an absolute pleasure, and by far the best Leeds fan channel.
I was going to say, the reason it's my debut is because you always go to the other one, don't you, from down the road?
Well, it's just natural because he is such a good friend, but fuck him. So, you know, I'll send him that.
Was he busy, Mike? Was he busy? Is that what he is?
I don't know what he fucking was. Sometimes he replies to my messages, and then I'll get a random voice note from him saying, "Hello, Brummy Mike, you're right." Fuck off, Connor. So yeah, Joe, it's been a pleasure you coming on, mate, and I'm sure we'll do lots of work together over the coming months. And James, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to all of the guys here. They're all fantastic. Joe's absolutely smashing his channel. He's getting more views than I am, so he's absolutely smashing it. And James is on a little piss pot channel, but he's growing rapidly as well. So go and subscribe to them guys, eh? How many of your fans do you think are Everton fans, Jan?
Listen, I'm an Everton fan now. I've got an Everton top. I kissed the badge. You've seen it. I've done it on camera. I'm a toffee. So I'll have more of them. Everyone, listen, just leave Mike's channel. Come to our channel. We're an Everton fan on Everton channel now.
And of course, we had Matisse earlier, so make sure you go and subscribe to Matisse. We all know Matisse is on the Big Six. He's fucking on national telly half the time, so we all know who Matisse is. And guys, we'll leave it there. Peace.